to all of you for coming and attending this program. Dr. Jaslin Thamijas we had planned it last time, in fact, that she wanted to give a talk, but unfortunately she was in Bombay and somehow we got messed up with her timing and dates. But she's here now to give you a fabulous talk on kanthas, and she's been researching for a long, long time. Also, after giving the talk, I think you will release the book, which is in the digital format. I don't need to introduce Dr. Jaslin Thamijas. She is very well known in the field of textiles, and she will now talk on kanthas. Thank you.
I am so happy to see all my friends here on this occasion, which has been organized by Siddharth. Where is he disappeared? He keeps disappearing. Siddharth is the person who grew up with these kanthas. Siddharth's father, Shubho Tagore, was an extraordinary artist, creative person, and I am... please bring Jenny forward. Please bring Jenny forward. Hi, Jenny. See, all my dearest friends have come. This is fantastic. And I think it's Siddharth's contribution and Dolly's involvement that this wonderful exhibition of the kanthas traditionally accepted by us as kanthas and the contemporary kanthas which you see, which were inspired by the great sculptor Meera Mukherjee, who worked with the bronze casting, with the dokra, and created the most extraordinary sculptures. The tradition of the dokra was tiny little pieces which they created, and she made beautiful, large, dominant, and then out of an involvement with the people, with the women who she was dealing with, she inspired them to make what I call the contemporary kanthas. And these contemporary kanthas have a quality about them. If you look at them, many a figure has kind of an aura which is emerging around them. And it is really quite extraordinary. And the similar type of subjects you find shared, but creating a totally different atmosphere. You will see on that side, and I'm going to ask Dolly to take you around to see the contemporary work which was inspired by Meera Mukherjee. And you see across there, that is also a circus which has been made by the women. And it's so extraordinary when you see them at close, the monkey, the elephants, and it really is amazing. And the Namwali, which is there, and it is combines behind this. I think I'm going to ask Dolly to take you around, and Dolly and I will go around and share our ideas and ask for yours, so that we can give and take and receive and be one with you all. The interesting thing is that everybody asks, what is the origin of the kantha? And the origin comes out when the real Sanskrit word kantha is rags. And in, that pieces, rags, which are put together and made whole. It's an extraordinary feeling that worn out, which have been used until they are practically threadbare, are put together, and out of nothing, an extraordinary lehaf, an extraordinary beton, a tantric piece for bringing us into the mystical world is created. And that is what is so extraordinary. Perhaps, not perhaps, but of course, the origin lies in the making of clothes for the newborn, because it was a tradition to prevent the evil eye being cast upon the child, the newborn child, that nothing new would be created for them. It would be the old pieces used over the years by wise men and women, put together, where their persona would be absorbed and would be conveyed to the child. Interesting thing is that because of the association with pollution of the menstruation, women's saris were not used for the newborn child. It was the dhotis of the men that were put together. And 4 to 5 layers of these old saris would be first put together on all the 4 corners, and then with the running stitch, which would create a rippling effect of life itself, of blood flowing through our bodies, would be the main base. And then the richness of their life would be absorbed into those pieces. One common link in these traditional kanthas is that the central focal point is the lotus, is the Surya, is the sun, is the power. And that power was in the center. And then on the 4 sides would be the tree of life, moving inwards towards the power, towards the cosmic world. And over there you see, can you hear me? I keep moving. The 3 powerful kalkas, the kalkas which also represent the tree of life, but more so they represent the imprint of the Mother Goddess, the imprint of Devi. Devi who danced on the supine Shiva, the powerful one, the Rakta Devi. And the Kalka is there, which represents so many elements of our life. And that is something which occurs again and again throughout the various different forms of the kanthas. Kanthas were made also for the bhikshus, the people who went around, who blessed the world and who were blessed by the world, who received alms. And according to the tradition, the Buddhist tradition, the bhikshu, that the bhikshu should make his wrapper with the pieces of cloth which were given to him in alms. They were given to him and they would be put together. The bowls singers, who were the peers of the area, and in the eastern part, the use of tatters, which were known as chindai, which was again chind, rags, that these were used also for making. And there was the Chindadeva, the Lord of Tatters, and Chindadevi, the Lady of Tatters. It's a common tradition which was found all over. And and then they made a number of things which were a part of our everyday life. The lep, the lehaf, which was the warmth, to give warmth to us, but also the warmth of the love of the mother who has embroidered it. And we see in that lehaf, the blessing of the mother is there. She has embroidered it for her husband. There is the beton, which is for wrapping up the books, precious books, and which was also used for wrapping precious clothes, etc. And it was also embroidered by the young bride whose husband has gone away to study, and she longs for him and he for her. And since he spends his life, we hope, with books, she sends him the embroidered beton, but so that his companions, as he studies, are the books which will be wrapped in them, and her love would be wrapped around him. The Arshalita, the embroidered piece which the mother has made for the bride as she leaves to wrap up her toiletry. And the asana to be offered to the guest of honor, to be offered to the older person, to be used for meditation, to be used for prayer, to be used for tantric puja, so that the richness of the beliefs of the women is absorbed into these elements. In 2nd century AD carving in Mathura, you see the Buddhas wrapped in a robe which is put together of pieces. And this tradition and this is to be found in most Buddhist countries, and you will find it in Japan, as well as you will find it in the in Japan, especially the pieced wrapper worn by the priests and also worn by the monks is a speciality of the area. And the same thing is shared throughout wherever Buddhism is to be found. And you find it even in parts of Central Asia where Buddhist observations were made. There is so much that one could say, and so much that one would like to share. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I am thinking that perhaps we should go around and Dolly could show us some of the beautiful pieces which were inspired by Meera Mukherjee, the great sculptor. And you see another aspect of the kantha. There is a boldness in these. There is a quality which has evolved over centuries. And in the other, inspired by this great artist, with affection and with a lot of involvement, you see as if contemporary art is represented. You see figures of human figures with dotted sort of aura around them. You see trees which are really like abstract paintings which are there. And you find another dimension. And I think this is what makes this exhibition so special. So very special, that you have the vibrancy of the past and the vibrancy of the women who had so little, and from whatever they had, they offered it to everyone. And that is what makes it so rich. I have a huge, big speech, but I don't think I'm going to make it. And I think, should we go around? Should we look at them and not just talk? Okay. Please call Siddharth. We have to thank Siddharth for making this occasion, for putting these two elements together. Don't keep disappearing. You know, he is the main sutradhar. He pulls the string and makes us all dance, and then he disappears. So this is what the book will do. And it has a lot of interesting articles in it, and a lot of images which have their captions also. The layout will change. Yes, because this is so Thank you so much.
I should thank you. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible.
Thank you. And then let's go around. So, Dolly, please come on. Because I didn't talk about Rita's thing because I was waiting for you to say.
Well, I can't say how honored I am and privileged that Jasleen ji could see this exhibition and to get her, her response to this. It means a lot to me. And I want to thank Siddharth for putting this exhibition together and for the opportunity to display the works which were all guided by Meera Mukherjee. I want to add one thing, that these works are being shown for the first time. The works which were guided she worked with the women in Ilachi Gram, and we're showing this for the first time in this exhibition. So, thank you.
Tell them about how this thing.
I used to go to Calcutta every year and visit Meera Mukherjee each time I would go. And at one such visit, she had these collection of 21 kanthas ready with her. She used to go to Ilachi Gram village 15 kilometers from Calcutta, and she would go there for casting and firing of her sculptures, her bronzes there. And village women would come around and sit and watch her at work. They were illiterate, and she was always very concerned generally about helping the underprivileged, the downtrodden. So she wanted to generate an income for them, to help them out financially. So she started to motivate them to do kantha. She was particular that she do kantha for decoration in these small pieces. This is not the traditional kantha that you see on layers of cloth. She gave them single pieces of cloth. Influence of her sculptures you can see in a lot of these works is there. She would give them the threads, and which means she would decide on the colors, the color combinations, the compositions. And as they were working, she would guide them throughout. She would say, okay, add a tree here, add a bird over here. And she was very involved with the kantha work, so that influences you can see. Also, my observation is that I find the way the children are depicted in all these kanthas is just delightful. You can see their playfulness, and to get that in embroidery, I thought was quite an accomplishment to get that movement, that playfulness of the children. And you can see that the children are there visible in most all the kanthas. They were all depicting village life. There's one very interesting one which is there in the beginning, and it took me a while also to spot it. So what I want to say is that, each time you look at these kanthas, you discover something in it, something new in it. There's one in the beginning which has the communist symbol, the hammer and sickle, and it's a machine over there. And there's one over there in that corner where the net, you can see the transparency of the net. The trees are depicted. You can see that in her sculptures also. So thank you again so much, and thank you, Jasleen ji.
My pleasure.
So privileged that you could see this exhibition.
Thank you. Kantha, the epitome of devotion, of concentration, of love. There's so much to talk about, but the point that I would like to emphasize in this beautiful piece is the three-dimensional effect that is the ladies achieve as they give basic running stitch, pulling their thread, giving tension where it's needed to create the third dimension. They often sing as they embroider. Sometimes they're silent, deep in thought. Somewhere, instinctively, they are almost about able to count the warp and weft stitches of the fabric into which they are putting their knitings. If you examine closely, it's almost a wonder how evenly the stitches and the neck, but they can't have a beauty.
So there's the incredible beauty of this, the design, the sense of design, the colors, the really quite bold use of color, and sometimes the bold use of not using much color, the texture. All of this is there. But I think what really moves me very deeply is that this is a craft. This is the creating of beauty out of actually rags, waste things. And so I feel it's there's something very deep that we can understand from this, I mean, one doesn't have to be an embroiderer oneself. One doesn't have to know much about craft, but there is a quality here. There's a lesson here, actually, a teaching that you take away, that that women have created this extraordinary beauty out of things that, I don't know, other people might just throw away. And that's so beautiful. That's so wonderful.
The wondrous epitome of devotion, of love, of concentration. In this piece, as very often, the real beauty, I think, beyond, of course, the form and color and combination, is the wondrous three-dimension that is achieved with the stitches. As the women sing, sometimes only silent in deep thought, their needles go in and out, pulling the thread now and then, giving a little tension, which then achieves that third dimension. It is quite amazing how intrinsically they weave their needle in and out, counting almost to perfection the fine threads of the warp and the weft. Kantha, a beautiful creation.
Good evening. I'm Geeti Sen. Delighted to be here to see the exhibition that I think is a major exhibition and breakthrough. I'm glad that, in fact, it is being shown at the India International Center, bringing together kanthas that are classic and traditional, which have been collected by Siddharth Tagore, and also, of course, the new work, relatively new work, which was stitched and put together by the veteran artist and sculptor Meera Mukherjee. I'm standing beside one of the works that Meera Di had been able to get done. I remember that she showed me these kanthas. She showed them to me with great pride. They were from the village just outside Calcutta, 30 kilometers, where she and Nirmalda would go out, where she would do her casting of the bronzes, and also the villages around. Nirmal Sengupta, her friend and companion, started a school for young children, and she decided that she would induct, encourage, persuade the women around those villages to revert or to recover the art of the kantha. Now this one, I find, of course, the traditional kanthas, there's some wonderful ones here. Some have been spoken about, of the lotus spiraling out animate forms. And there are many of them, but there are other forms also. There's one of the circus, which is one of my favorites. And there is one at the far end, a small one. So those are the traditional, but quite inventive, innovative ones. These are from the village that I'm speaking about. And I think they are much more concerned with the rituals, the agricultural rituals that women had watched and observed. So it came not from so much the imagination, but it came really from direct participation in life. Like this one is about the gathering of corn. And much of it is actually about carrying water, about children playing in this playground, school playground, about various activities that they would watch or that they'd be part of every day. So this one I love because it has such a wonderful scale. It has got the tiny little corn in the fields and the large bunches that have been harvested, and it shows three figures carrying them. It's quite a narrative, a whole narrative. And I think there are many others that I would like to talk about. There's one here. So it is really more figurative. If you'd like to see it, it's really got wonderful colors. I believe that Miradi must have had a lot to do with the actual choice of colors, because the colors, the ground color, is not a dull beige, is not a dull white. Of course, the colors become luminous. These really have to be looked at, and if you come close to them, you will see that there are different kind of stitches that are used. The stitching, I don't know how much, and I can't tell you how much she participated, but since I knew her quite well, I'm sure she had a lot to do, not with what was narrated, not with the subject, but how it was stitched. This is the last evening of a marvelous exhibition taking place on the kanthas, both the old kanthas, the classic ones, as you have here, and kanthas that were stitched in the 1990s by the rural villages just outside Calcutta and collected by the artist Meera Mukherjee. These are much older, and this is one of my favorites. I asked Dr. Jasleen Dhamija, and I was told that she also, I said, is this a way of dating the kantha? What we are talking about is that the whole narrative is of the circus that comes to town, and the wonder of the circus. And Jasleen Dhamija did mention, yes, that since the circus was brought by the British to India, by the Europeans, and oddly, ironically enough, it persists to fascinate us in India, where it's vanished in other countries. But here we have the circus spinning out all sides from the centrifugal form of the lotus, or if you like, just a petals forms. And then, of course, you do have the circular forms. But spinning out also are the wonderful little vignettes and of the trainer with the lion and the clowns. I didn't realize they were clowns upside down because I hadn't looked at them closely. And then woven into this are the traditional patterns, like the three corners, three fish together, which of course is a symbol of fertility in Bengal, and other forms, the clowns all around, and again reverting to the corners, the very traditional patterns, which are the paisley patterns. But I find them fascinating because they are not at all, the vibrancy of the color is not what you would find at all in a traditional paisley pattern. It's red and green and yellow, and it is speaking at all the four corners. It's bringing together, and the border. It's a very traditional form, but woven into it is the animation of the circus. Thank you.
I just want to start with one of the pieces designed by Meera Mukherjee, which really inspired me when I came and saw this show. The movement of the women as they move through the cloth, and just the golden hue of the harvest that is to come when the plant ripens. I've written a small poem which I'd like to recite. I'll go ahead. Sowing, reaping. A field my cloth spread out, the needle my plough. With thread from cotton spun I seed the field. I fill the field with stitches, and every stitch in time a blossom leaves. Bird song, air, feathers, fins in rivers stitched. I reel in a harvest of spring with seams of insects sprung.